Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another video brought to you by SeniorCatWellness.com. If you enjoyed today's presentation and find it informative, please feel free to subscribe to this channel, like the video, and share the content. Today's video subject: why doesn't my cat like being petted on the back? Before we begin, let's first take a look at today's topic overview. Psychological or physical factors can cause back pain in cats. If the skin on your cat's back ripples when you touch them, it likely has anxiety or hyperesthesia. If your cat's back feels stiff to the touch, this may be due to arthritis, injury, or an infection of the spinal disc. While most cats enjoy being petted on the back, felines that cringe or run away could be suffering from some degree of anxiety, physical discomfort, or injury. If the cat you love and care for has suddenly taken a defensive posture to what would be deemed as common and generic petting, something is obviously wrong. When it comes to recognition, we offer the following signs of displeasure: rippling, the skin on your cat's back ripples and twitches involuntarily; stiffness in the back or the neck, the cat is unable to move quickly or stretch out fully; and we have flinching, the cat recoils when its back is touched and petted. While it's quite easy to recognize this trio, and the signs themselves are fairly self explanatory, it's important to make note of the exact symptom that your cat is displaying. Always remember that cats rarely do anything at random. A specific reaction to back petting is likely due to a specific physical or psychological reason. Now we have our listing, and it comes with a suggestion. As we go through each potential cause, think about your pet's overall behavior and when exactly the back petting avoidance began. You could be able to trigger something in your own mind that could help to point to the issue. For example, do you recall a change being introduced into your cat's environment? Did your pet suffer from what seemed to be just a minor fall, yet the back avoidance or back pain and back discomfort began soon after? Think about your cat's general standing of health and how your pet has been acting of late. You could be able to put a few pieces together. This can certainly help, especially if a vet visit is warranted. Let's begin with soft tissue injuries: a strain or sprain to the muscles, ligaments, and tendons surrounding the backbones. A cat with a soft tissue injury may appear stiff and flinch when petted. Next, we have fear and anxiety. If your cat always flinches when you touch it on the back, it could be anxious. Next, arthritis. This painful joint condition can affect the spine. Cats with arthritis may have a stiff neck and back that seems to perhaps loosen a bit after a petting session. And next, we mentioned this briefly in passing: hyperesthesia. This is a hypersensitivity disorder that causes a cat's back to ripple when touched and petted. Next, we have feline osteodystrophy. Osteodystrophy is abnormal bone growth caused by genetics, renal disease, or nutritional deficiencies. Symptoms include stiffness and a reluctance to move. Next, we have discospondylitis. This is a microbial infection that affects the spinal disc, which can cause extreme stiffness. And finally, meningitis. This causes inflammation or an infection of the meninges, the membranes that encase the brain and the spinal cord. Meningitis can cause stiffness in the neck and perhaps flinching. With all of this information given, and what it tells us is that back pain and discomfort has causes that are incredibly wide ranging, from injury to infection and even psychological factors such as anxiety. And before we transition into our next subsection, if you would like paragraphs upon paragraphs of detailed information dedicated to each and every one of the potential causes that were just noted, please be sure to visit us at SeniorCatWellness.com at the conclusion of this presentation. As always, the link can be found in the description box below. With respect to treatment, back pain can be resolved successfully in the majority of cases. Of course, it all starts with a proper diagnosis. Depending on the final verdict, your cat could potentially benefit from the following: rest and rehabilitation. You may need to limit your cat's movements by keeping it confined for several weeks or do certain activities to help the cause. Next, we have changing in your behavior. Depending on what causes the pain, changing how you handle and pet your cat may be a lesson to you, and also in order to lessen some of your cat's symptoms. How about a new environment? You may need to make some changes to your cat's current environment to speed up the healing process and prevent issues from happening in the future. For example, changing the overall temperature of your home, or getting a different cat bed. And finally, medication, anti inflammatories, antibiotics, and pain relievers. We've mentioned anxiety just in passing during this presentation, but now let's run a bit of a full court press on the topic. So, what if the issue is not physical at all? What steps can you take? If your cat is refusing to allow back petting, pay close attention to other outward signs. Is your pet puffing up its tail, becoming somewhat frozen on the spot like a statue when you start to do any petting type of maneuver? What about arching of the back, lowering of the head? Does your cat have a glazed over expression? Does your cat take on a bit of an aggressive tone and spit or even hiss a bit at you? What about urination and defecation outside the litter box not long after an attempted petting, perhaps doing so due to increased anxiety levels, or could just be angry at you for what you're attempting to do? And of course, this likely leads us to what would be considered obvious in some cases, trying to run away, not necessarily outside of your home, but run away from you. If you can answer in the affirmative to several of these issues and your cat seems physically sound otherwise, some level of anxiety could be responsible for your pet's anti back petting behavior. And while it could feel like you're searching for a needle in a haystack, evaluate your cat's overall environment. If this behavior wasn't always on display, find out when it started and look for potential triggers. Does your cat exhibit this behavior with every person or just a specific person? That's another thing to take stock of. Assess the overall situation to the very best of your ability, and always remember what seems small and insignificant to you could be the breaking news of the day to your pet. In the eyes of your feline, there's really no such thing as a subtle change. Even something like the very texture of your hand or the feel of your fingernails could be off putting. Cats are extremely sensitive in the back region. If you would like more information concerning today's subject matter, including tips on how to handle an anxious feline, please click the initial link in the description box below and join us at the aforementioned seniorcatwellness.com. And once again, feel free to like and share this video and subscribe to the channel if this type of content is of interest to you. Thanks for watching. Merry Christmas, and we'll talk to you later.